Hey people, I just saw this article that came out today. How to avoid being property rich but cash poor. So the funny thing is, I remember talking about this before, maybe about 1+ year back. So there were quite a lot of people that, in this case, property rich has a lot of money, a lot of equity in property, but cash poor they cannot afford day-to-day expenses, especially when property taxes recently went up quite a bit because of the rising annual values and the revised percentages here and there. But this kind of thing seems to be quite common, and recently I met a few clients that they really have no idea. They still think that rental income, once it comes in, it really means that that is really income. They don't bother to go down to the deep dive into the details. What are the expenses here and there that makes it whether a worthwhile investment or not. But anyway, let's just take a quick look at this article. They are just trying to bring up, I wouldn't really say warn, more like bring up to the surface, where quite a lot of people don't really realize that if you just buy a property, which a lot of people have this idea, hey, I continue staying in my HDB flat, I don't have to buy the condo and stay in the condo and go and flaunt or whatever. I'm not getting a condo myself. Okay, I'm not getting a condo to flaunt. I don't give a damn about whether you think I'm gonna be like rich or staying in what, condo, bungalow, that kind of thing. I'm more concerned about whether I have enough for my retirement. Okay, whether what other people want to think, that's their problem. We can never make everyone like us. So that's already something that I already accept since young. So I really can't be bothered about what people say. And I understand these people are also like this. They have a condo, they are not going to show off to, hey everyone, I have a condo, I'm going to stay there, or they are just happily going to keep a low profile and buy a investment property, which is not wrong. But the problem comes when they realize that they don't have enough cash to go and maintain this property, and then suddenly got one relative that state that there's a claim on this $1.3 million. Don't get it wrong. These guys have a lot of money. $1.3 million is a lot of money. Enough. Maybe in today's environment, not exactly enough to really retire unless you keep it in some good use account here and there. But let's just see. This is an interesting one that came up in another article today, but I'm not going to talk about that. But basically, there is some form of caveat being lodged by a relative or some other ex-wife or here and there. So it's not that simple. Please guys, check your mail. Whenever somebody lodge a caveat on a property, your mail will come in. The funny thing is, I think maybe these people just see mail and they chuck aside. They don't really bother to go and find out what a caveat is, what is it for, what are the implications. So all this, make sure you go and ask your agent. If your agent don't know, really go ask your lawyer. By right, your lawyer should be able to explain. So the other one will be, they also continue staying in their HDB, bought a private, go for the rental income. Then they realize they got caught when interest rate starts going up, because they only calculate based on 2% or last time less than 1%, that sort of rates. But TDASR came in for a reason. TDASR last time was like 3.5. Now it's really assessed at some banks. By right, it's supposed to be 4.5 or something. But banks have really pushed it out another notch to 4.8, 4.7. All these are to help us promote our due diligence so that you're not being forced to liquidate unnecessarily, because the government is trying to promote a stable environment. Therefore, you see, they didn't have enough money. They can't even ask their grown-up children. So unfortunately, I know most of you don't think that way. But don't rely on your children, please. You have to be self-sufficient. Before you think of taking care of your kids or taking care of everybody else, you need to think long-term and take care of yourself first. Of course, it's good to have kids. Everyone wants to. Not everyone. I would say quite a lot of people want to have kids and want their kids to do well, comfortable here and there. That's the ultimate goal of a parent, right? But if you can't even take care of yourself, then you don't want to be a liability to your kid as well. If your kid do give you some income here and there, it's more like a goodwill kind of thing. Don't think of a kids as like dividend provider. Come on, I think that's not really the right way to parenting, and that's how I feel. But some people, they may think the other way. End up, they had to rent out 2 bedrooms in their HDB to supplement their income. That's quite sad. I mean, if you don't mind staying with strangers, I don't think there's a problem. But I think the problem lies in when you're not comfortable with it, but you're being forced to do it. I think that's a sad thing, especially if you have another investment property you can't let go. in some cases later I'll show you some numbers on possibly why certain things like this happen. First of all, people have to take note of, once you buy a private home, you don't have government subsidy, which is quite standard. Because I also know of people, quite a lot of people who, hey, I don't want to buy, I don't want to touch private, because once I touch private, straight away I don't have, I'm not qualified for public subsidy. If we are after that few $100 a year, or maybe up to 1,000 plus a year, it's not going to be a lot. If you're going to be chasing after that, then I think maybe you are totally not suited for investment, because your risk is super low. Nothing wrong with that, but this just doesn't fit your risk profile. There are things a lot like maintenance fee, especially sinking fund. If the things start breaking out, you can buy a new old condo, and the old condo has a lot of things that are not exactly working well. There's high likelihood that something's gonna break down, and then somebody will have to pay for it, right? Higher property tax also from the higher AV and higher percentages in recent years. The other one, which I cannot re-emphasize again and again, that you cannot spend thinking that, hey, today I have my rental, I rent it out at 4.5k. That means I have 4.5k in additional income. And it doesn't work that way, because there are a lot of expenses, especially your interest, agent fee, maintenance fee, property tax, income tax, everything that comes into play. They realize that it's not as profitable a game, especially in today's high interest rate environment. And Federal Reserve just announced this week that they are not going to be dropping down prices, that are not going to be dropping the rates that soon because of persistent inflation, which I can more or less see why, given what they have done over the years. But some people still think that it's going to crash, come down. Even if they do lower, they are not going to have a crash in interest rate unless we have a very bad crisis worldwide. But based on what we are seeing right now, based on what we are seeing in the stock market here and there, I don't think it's going to be that case. So make sure you do a due diligence, do all the calculations properly, that even if you don't have a tenant, because especially in today's high supply environment, you will not always be able to get a very good tenant, especially those of you who are very niao, you have very high qualifications of a tenant, you cannot this one, cannot that one, cannot this kind of tenant, cannot this one here and there. Then you have to be wary that you may have to vacate your unit for quite a while, and you must be able to service the loan, and also on other ongoing causes lah. The other one that is a little bit of maybe government propaganda, but it's not wrong. I also agree that we need to diversify, some in property, some in bonds, some in your CPF life, some in your here and there, because ultimately all these are no risk, essentially no risk. I wouldn't say no risk, essentially almost no risk, because it's managed by the government. You have 4-5% working in your favor, and you don't have to bother about it, and then you just chuck it aside, and this will be your retirement fund. Especially if, let's say, single, if you max out the sum, the new one enhanced retirement sum. If you max out, you're gonna get 3,000 plus a month, or age of 65. That's provided if you delay lah, because some people can jump out 55 years and want to take out already. Then the other one will be 6,000 plus if you got two of you together. And I think I wouldn't really say it's a very comfortable, it is comfortable income for now. But given the rate of inflation, if it continues persistently at the rate where we are going, I really don't think that 20 years time is going to be a very comfortable amount. Because you think about it, 20 years ago, I remember last time 20 years ago when I was buying bread for my mom, bread only costs us $1+. Now it's like $2+, $3. That means you need to match this income to counter inflation. You need $12,000. Will CPF Life be able to provide you or not? And if not, do you have to find other ways and means to counter this inflation so that you can maintain your current lifestyle? That is the issue lah. So if we look a little bit more into this part, which I'm more interested in, because this one it's not my job lah. I think it's the CPF guy job to convince you to go for CPF Life. I'm just giving a suggestion that this can be a part of a retirement plan. The other one will be this one is basically together, and I pull out a little bit of numbers. Quite popular development, very popular in fact, in front of MRT, which is what basically most Singaporeans would like, right near MRT, walkable distance to MRT, major road facing. But some people just love MRT. Once they see MRT, it's like a godlike. They just bow down to the MRT every single night. They worship the MRT. They love it lah. So anyway, somebody bought end of last year, and I particularly choose these two because these two particular units, same stack, only one floor apart, so pretty much the same. This guy bought for end of last year, $1.66 million. This guy just one floor apart managed to rent it out at only $4,500. If you look at the interest rate currently, if the person chooses not to go into fixed rate, because I have seen people that are not keen in fixing a rate because they think that the rates are going to go down. That's why they keep it floating, which is not wrong. I personally feel that it's not going to come down so fast, so I fix mine. But for those people who decided not to fix because they feel that it's going to come down, then I literally just met another client just last week. They tell me that currently his floating is 4.7, which is like, wow, 4.7 is pain. It's really painful for somebody that bought the property at this price, and then every month you are looking at 6,000 plus. So that means if you add in all your additional cash flow of your taxes and all the other maintenance and everything, which boils down to 1,200 plus. In case you are thinking, where got 1,200 plus, you really have 2,000, at least 1,200 plus. And if your maintenance fee is higher, it's going to be even higher, of course. So sit down, go to a qualified professional, go down every single line. What are your expenses? Before we realize that it is not as rosy. The rental scene is not as rosy as most people think it is. If I add this and this every month, I'm giving out 7,000 plus, provided I don't lock. Okay, for those, in case those people will say, hey, but TT, today you can lock my, I will show you later. Okay, then if I'm only getting this amount of money, how are you going to get positive cash flow? And this is not even close. You are basically almost bleeding every single month $3,000. And even if you do factor in principal, your principal is just a small chunk of your monthly installment. And this interest alone, that means you're pretty much subsidizing your tenant to stay in your house. That's very generous of you. Okay, of course you may think that, hey, this is a fully investable, you will capital appreciation. Well, later we look a little bit more at the chart and then we'll see how. But for those people who think that, even if I do lock in at an interest rate, if your loan is not going to be that high, then it's unlikely you're going to get too favorable interest rate. But at that point, when this person bought, I think the interest rate would have been higher for fixed. But never mind, we just use this percentage as a figure. If I use this and add on the $1,200 per month, we get 6.6K every month. But income only 4,500. That means every month my cash flow is negative 2,100. Every month you're churning out 2,100 plus. That's I don't see how this is quite a good investment in that sense if your aim is only for rental. Of course, most people say I want rental gains, I want capital appreciation also, but you really need to boil down to the numbers, sit down and really look at what are you actually buying into. Are you buying into somewhere that is a high appreciation, high capital gains kind of product, or are you buying into a pure rental gains at this point when we are at an all-time peak? Please remember they are all-time peak. Not to say that we cannot buy properties, we can still invest. Quite a few of my friends, even myself, only recently invested. It doesn't mean that it's a bad time to invest. Every single year, every single era, there is opportunities, but the problem is, when are you going to sit on it for 3 years while other people are reaping the investment gains from 3 years? Are you going to be the one sitting aside, and then somebody made 500k, 600k, you're the one sitting, last night I shared this, last night I shared that? I'm pretty sure it happens to most people, because there are a lot of people that always come, last night I shared this, last night I shared that. It happens a lot of times. Even if you do manage to lower the interest 3,000 plus, if you add on the 1,200 plus, you do not gain anything. Basically, same thing, you're subsidizing the tenant in a very popular development. This is not even like a Ulu kind of development. And if we look at the charts over here, if I compare, why I pull out a few of these later, I'll explain to you. But this is the price pattern of Park Esta. It has been kind of at the same level for almost about 2 years already. So if you think this is a very good investment tool, I don't think so, because at that point 2 years ago, I think that you can get into quite a bit of properties that are giving you very decent gains. Today you are looking at basically 20% and above kind of gains. But We're not even talking about ROI, we're talking about gross gains. So ROI will definitely be a lot higher. Then we look at all over Singapore, your north, south, east, west, here and there. So all these are, I wouldn't say all these are good properties. Some of them are good properties that appreciated quite a lot already over the past few quarters. Has been going sideways, sideways. Okay, this one from here onwards. So is there any guarantee that if, let's say, somehow you're looking at a 3-year or 5-year horizon, are you able to have that capital appreciation if, let's say, you're getting into these developments? Let's say, assuming that this guy bought in for a rental income, which could be some of the case, because I do have quite some people, I want to buy rental income property, I want to buy for rental gains, and then make money through capital gains for a new project, or it doesn't even have to be new. It can be even some things like all these guys over here, which are totally not new at all. But if you dive down into the numbers, is it something that really makes sense at this point or not? So I'm not saying that it's going to be like Tesla. Once you today is like this. I highly doubt, in fact, it's going to be like Tesla. But I wouldn't brush out the fact that it's going to be staying stagnant for quite a while, because if you look at the sheer amount of gains over the past few years for some of them, I wouldn't be surprised if they start stagnating, because there's only so much that people can take the gains, and some gains are astronomical. Some have gained over 50% in the past 5 years. I think that's quite impressive for those who bought 5 years before. But is it going to continue the trend? Because if that is so, those people who bought in here will be thinking that today's Tesla price will be here, but unfortunately it is here. So is there a misalignment of your expectations or not? Okay, I would say we try not to be like these guys over here. Got in over the course of how many years? 6 years to, or maybe some of them, this one is 6 years. Yeah, this is average about 6 years I would say. They are making this amount. This one not too shabby. I wouldn't say it's shabby, but the rest are not exactly well done. All these guys are totally losing money. I don't think we want to be one of them. I don't think it's not just you. I definitely don't want to be one of them. The other one will be this one also. 69 of them made money, 31 of them lost money. I wouldn't say these guys have the highest yield, decent returns for these guys, but below that, all these, they are not exactly making much money given the amount of risk that they are taking and all the work that they are doing to manage a property. But not to despair, we are not saying that buying property nowadays is not the right way to go. We are not saying that the yields are going to be as high as in Nvidia, and by the way, Nvidia has been stagnating already. I personally think it's going to be Tesla number 2, but then again, I'm not a stock market guru, so those of you who disagree, don't bother come and argue on my channel. I'm not trying to say that the video is not good here and there. I just personally don't see that, and I'm not interested in the debate over that because I'm not a stock market guru. I'm not going to be arguing and educating the public. Why? Because I don't have the sufficient knowledge to do so, and I'm definitely not qualified to do so. Then again, these are pretty decent returns for these few years. I would say maybe about six years past, people are really experiencing this. 199 of them made money, none of them lost money. On the other hand, this one also, over the span of just 3 years making this kind of money, 128 of them made money, only 1% lost money. Okay, on paper, of course. But if you look at this chunk, these old guys definitely made a huge chunk of money. So will you want to be those guys that are here or those guys that are here? I think it is very important that whether these guys bought for rental use or these guys bought for rental use, I think the outcome is very obvious that most of us want to be on this page. So how do you go on this page? Make sure you seek the right professional for help. And that will be all we have for today. And see you guys. Bye-bye.